Welcome. Yes, you. Today I will tell you a story. A story about dreams. A story about struggle. A story about a boy who built Nike from nothing. Watch carefully. Your life might change. I was born in a quiet neighborhood. The streets were calm. The houses were small. People knew each other. Life was slow, but my mind was never calm. I wanted more. I wanted to see more than my street. I wanted to hear more than the same voices. I wanted to feel more than the same routine. From a young age, I loved sports. Running made me feel free. It made my heart race. It made me believe I could go anywhere. It made me think that maybe I could be more. My father was a serious man. He believed in safety. He believed in following the rules. He believed in working hard at one job and staying there. He thought that was the best life. I respected him. But deep inside, I felt different. I felt there was another path for me, a path no one could see yet. At night, I would lie in bed, the lights off, the house quiet, but my mind was running faster than my legs ever could. I imagined places I had never been. I imagined crowds. I imagined people wearing something I had made, something that carried my name. Years later, I entered university. It was exciting. So many people. So many ideas. So many possibilities. One day, in a marketing class, the professor gave us a project. Create a product, he said. It can be anything. Use your imagination. It was supposed to be just homework. But for me, it became the start of everything. I thought, what if I create a brand? Not just any brand. A sports brand. Something for runners. Something for people like me. I had no money, no company, no workers, no office, only a small dorm room and a head full of dreams. The idea was simple. Shoes that could make you run faster. Shoes that felt like part of your body. Shoes that could make you believe you could fly. I bought a cheap notebook. It was small. The cover was torn. The pages were thin. But it became my treasure. I carried it everywhere. On the bus to class, in the cafeteria while drinking coffee, even to the library when I had other homework. Every time I had an idea, I wrote it down, no matter how small, no matter how crazy. Some pages had words, some had drawings, some had numbers I did not really understand. At night, I would open it again. I would look at my sketches. I would imagine the shoes in real life. I would imagine someone lacing them up before a big race. I would imagine the sound of their steps. Light, fast, unstoppable. Sometimes I stayed awake until 2 in the morning. The rest of the world slept. But I was still there, thinking, planning, dreaming. When my friends saw the notebook, they laughed. They said, "You can't compete with big brands." They said, "Every idea has been done already." They said, "Be realistic." But I could not listen, because deep inside, I knew something. If I wanted to stand out, I had to try. Even if I failed, even if no one believed in me, I knew nothing about factories, nothing about marketing, nothing about how to start a business, but I knew about passion, and sometimes passion is enough to begin. One evening, while reading a sports magazine, I saw an article. It was about a man named Bill Bowerman. He was a track coach. He loved running. He loved making his athletes better. He even experimented with their shoes to make them lighter. Thought, maybe he could understand me. Maybe he could believe in my idea. Maybe he could be the person I needed. It took me days to write a letter to him. I wanted to explain my dream. But how do you explain a dream? How do you put your heart on paper? I wrote one page. I threw it away. I wrote another. I threw that. One away, too. Finally, I wrote one that felt right. It was simple. It was honest. It told him what I believed. Then I sent it. And I waited. Days passed. A week passed. Then one afternoon, I found an envelope in my mailbox. It had my name on it. My hands shook as I opened it. It was from him. He had read my letter, and he wanted to meet me. I read the message 3 times. I could not believe it. This was my chance. When we met, he looked at my notebook. He turned the pages slowly. He asked me questions. How would the shoes be made? Who would buy them? How much would they cost? I answered with honesty. I had no factory. I had no customers. I had no real numbers. But I had a vision, and I could see that he understood. That day, something changed. 2 people, 1 dream, and the first small step toward something that would change sports forever. After meeting Bill Bowerman, my life changed completely. I finally had someone who understood me, someone who believed in my dream. It was still small, but it felt real. It felt possible. We started working every day, in a small garage. It was cold in winter, hot in summer. The walls were empty, but our minds were full of ideas. We experimented constantly. We tried different shoes, different soles, different materials. Sometimes the shoes were perfect. Sometimes they broke in a few steps. Sometimes they were too heavy, sometimes too soft. Every mistake taught us something important. I remember one cold morning. The sun had not risen. I was tired, very tired. My fingers were sore from stitching and cutting. My notebook was full of sketches, but I could not stop. I could not rest. We wanted to make shoes that were perfect for runners, shoes that felt like part of their body, shoes that gave freedom, shoes that gave speed, shoes that made them feel unstoppable. People around us laughed. They said, "You are too young." They said, "You have no money." They said, "You cannot compete with big companies." Sometimes I felt doubt. Sometimes I thought about quitting. But then I opened my notebook. I looked at our designs. I remembered the feeling of running fast, and I kept going. We needed a name for our shoes. At first, we called the brand Blue Ribbon Sports. It sounded serious. It sounded safe. But it was not inspiring. It was not powerful. I wanted a name that would fly. I wanted a name that would move people. I wanted a name that felt like victory. Then I remembered the Greek goddess of victory. Her name was Nike. I said it aloud. Nike. It sounded strong. It felt fast. It felt right. The first shoes were small in number. We sold them at local stores. Sometimes 10 pairs, sometimes only 1. Each sale gave hope. Each customer was a step closer to the dream. Money was always a challenge. We had almost none. We borrowed. We asked friends for help. We saved every dollar. Every penny counted. I worked many hours every day. Days became nights. Nights became mornings. I missed parties. I missed family dinners. I missed simple pleasures. But I never missed the feeling of creating, the feeling of seeing a new design come alive, the feeling of seeing someone wear our shoes, the feeling of knowing I was building something real. I remember the first runner who tested our shoes. He ran on the track. He smiled. He said the shoes felt light. He said he had never felt this before. That small smile gave me hope. It gave me courage. It gave me more energy than all the coffee in the world. We continued improving every day, learning from mistakes, learning from critics, learning from every step. Sometimes it felt endless, sometimes it felt hopeless, but slowly, progress came. The garage became our world, a world full of dreams, a world full of hope, a world where nothing seemed impossible. I felt proud, but I also felt fear. Fear of failure, fear of making the wrong decision, fear of losing everything. But I kept going. Every morning, I opened my notebook. I drew new ideas. I imagined shoes that no one had seen. I imagined people running faster. I imagined a world where Nike existed everywhere. We worked with passion, with sweat, with determination, even when others did not believe in us. Even when doors were closed, even when money ran out, we kept creating. There were days when nothing seemed to work. Shoes broke again. Materials failed. We felt tired and frustrated. But every morning I reminded myself, dreams are built one step at a time, no matter how small, no matter how slow. Slowly, word spread about our shoes. Small stores called us. Runners wanted to try our shoes. Every new customer was proof that our dream could grow. We were still young. We had so much to learn, so many obstacles ahead. But we also had hope, and hope is stronger than fear. And little by little, the world started noticing. It was a small world at first, but it was enough to know that Nike could become something big. After the first successes, the world began to notice Nike. Small stores became bigger stores. Runners started asking for more. Word spread slowly, then faster. But with growth came new challenges. We needed factories, we needed money, we needed people we could trust. I had no experience managing all this. I made mistakes, sometimes big mistakes. Sometimes I doubted myself. I remembered my father's words. Stay safe. Don't take risks. And I smiled. Because this was the risk I had chosen, the risk I needed. I met investors. Some said yes. Many said no. They did not see the dream. They did not see the vision. They only saw numbers. But I did not give up. I believed in my idea. I believed in the shoes. I believed in every runner who wanted to feel free. We signed small contracts. Every contract was a victory. Every contract was proof that we were on the right path. The first big marathon came. We sent shoes to runners. We waited, and we watched. They ran faster. They smiled. They came back asking for more shoes. It was incredible. It was the moment I realized Nike could change sports. Nike could inspire people. I traveled to see factories. I learned about production. I learned about marketing. I learned about managing a team. It was hard. It was exhausting. But every step taught me something new. We faced competitors. Big brands laughed. They said we could never beat them. They said our small company would disappear. But I remembered my notebook. I remembered every sketch, every late night, every failure that taught us something. We improved the shoes constantly. Better soles, better designs, better materials. We tested them every day. Sometimes they failed. Sometimes they succeeded. And slowly, Nike became known. First in small towns, then in cities, then across the country. I still remember the first big order. It was huge. It was overwhelming. I was proud. I was scared. I was excited. I thought about all the nights in the garage, all the mistakes, all the people who did not believe, all the times I almost gave up, and I realized something important. Success does not come from luck. Success comes from persistence, from passion, from refusing to give up. Nike was no longer just shoes. It was a dream. It was a vision. It was a symbol. And even today, when I see someone running, when I see someone wearing Nike, I remember the boy in the quiet neighborhood, the boy with the old notebook, the boy who believed in something impossible. That boy taught me everything. He taught me to dream. He taught me to work. He taught me to fight. He taught me that anything is possible. And this is the lesson I want to share with you. No matter where you start, no matter how small your resources, no matter how many people say you cannot do it, you can create something amazing. You can change the world. You can fly if you take the first step. Dream big. Work hard. Believe in yourself. And never, ever give up.